and welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds, I'm Nerdarchist Dave. Tonight I'm joined by this nerd,
Nerdarchist Ted. How you doing this fine lovely evening, sir?
I'm doing good. Under the Dome, character background hooks unique to D&D and TTRPG settings. I think I have an extra tip.
I'll be the extra tape.
There you go. There's our extra
Ted's
tip.
tabletop.
What kind of stuff you got going on?
So I'm actually been working on that today because at some point in time I'm going to be running Under the Dome here on the channel. You didn't touch on this at all, but I've been doing some behind the scenes thinking and working, and because there is a bit of this post-apocalyptic industrial and we have Vargarians in the mix, I'm like, well, what else could we talk about that's alien? And I use that in quotes because technically Vargarians have come from somewhere else. They are inspired by the Borg from Star Trek. So I'm like, all right, I want to add a rule set and an element of the game for symbiotes. You can have symbiotes as like a race. You can have it as subclasses. You can have symbiotic feats. You can have symbiotic magic items. There's all these things that could be done that I haven't seen happen in any of the third-party stuff, and definitely nothing in any of the WotC stuff. So I'm like, well, what would symbiotes look like? So I've been exploring a lot with that. So I definitely am putting that into the mix. There's definitely elements of you want to go out and explore and find the different areas around Valeria. There's different elements for that.
And also, so the symbiotes, right? Like, I think Wizards of the Coast, like, they dipped their toe in with Eberron. There was a lot of symbiote stuff in Eberron. In 3rd edition, I don't know how much they brought it back, but also you can kind of look to the Dark Gifts of Ravenloft as well, because they very much have that as well. And I don't know, maybe Keith Baker at this point has done a third-party thing that
I'll look
symbiotes even more.
I'll look more into that.
Or even his blog, right? His blog might have articles on it to help inspire you and give you ideas. I think the symbiote feat concept is new. I don't remember seeing that, so that could be interesting as well. And with that in mind, what are the hooks that you see being laid out from that effort?
From symbiotes directly?
Yes.
That would entirely have to be like dependent upon like what kind of symbiote you have. And like you have the capability of saying, okay, well, like I know you just be like, well, I want to roll it randomly and just see what I get. Others would be like, oh, well, I want something that is a little bit more connected to what my class is or what the feature that attaches to it. I've got the aspect that I have so far is like, you can only have one symbiote. That doesn't stop you from getting symbiotic aspects elsewhere, but it would mean like you develop a better relationship with that symbiote that you have, and it extends into this thing. So suppose you start off and you found a symbiotic item. Well, then you decide you want to take a symbiotic feat. So that then says, well, that symbiote item that you have connects with you, and now you increase your power with it, and it allows you to do the thing. And then suppose you go to a subclass, same thing. Now, if you want to get rid of that item, well, then you could swap out the feat, or if you get a new symbiote kind of thing, then maybe you quickly unlock its ability because you already know how to connect. But I'm not having, oh, well, I've got 17 different symbiotes with me that do all these different things. I'm not going crazy like that. I feel like that's the best way to go to do about it. But I've got a subclass that's related to a symbiote for each one of the 12 core classes. I've got a couple symbiotic items. I haven't gotten to making feats yet, but there's elements that are kind of at work that it's like, okay, well, what would I want to be able to do that isn't already a feat that could be added to something symbiotic? But it to be a fun thing to be like, okay, well, depending upon what your symbiote is, it's got the ability to have its own, quests, its own visions, its own things that it wants to accomplish. And it's kind of more like a story reward of, okay, well, if you accomplish these things and make your symbiote happy, it has the ability to kind of offer a little bit more. And it might be small perks, like an extra resource of whatever it is that your class can do, or maybe extra hit points, or maybe a bump to armor class or stats. So something that has, a swing to it, depending upon how difficult said quest happens to be.
A couple things. One, 5e definitely has symbiotes because I remembered my Iron Defender got one.
Okay.
It's basically a tongue that allowed it. All of a sudden, it went from not speaking to speaking deep speak. 2, I think an Artificer subclass based around symbiotes would be friggin' amazing. Definitely different take on the Artificer. 3, that guy in particular would make an awesome villain for a campaign where you could base it around symbiotes, and whether you're introducing it to the campaign or bring them to the forefront, with the idea of he's constantly, or she is constantly fortifying and improving their henchmen and soldiers with symbiotes, right? And they're just with finding and capturing the best symbiote, right? Like, do you do a thing like with Spider-Man and Venom, where all the symbiotes come from one place, they're living creatures, or were they grown and created in a lab, or somewhere in between? Maybe some of them did come from someplace. Like, I mean, I could definitely just be like, Far Realm, there are symbiotes there, and they're constantly trying to find their way into the prime material plane, because maybe it's hard for them to bond with the creatures native to the Far Realm, you know, so they need other creatures like humans, dwarves, elves, halflings, gnomes, orcs, whatever, in order to bond with, right? And maybe there's different kinds of symbiotes, like the happy, nice ones that you're used to, but then like maybe there's ones that are sized for a dragon or Tarrasque, right? Like, and it's their king or god, and they have almost a genetic compulsion to try and bring forth this greater symbiote, elder symbiote, and into the world, right? So they do have their own will. They're slowly but surely working their way towards this goal. This artificer, he goes out, he finds the sleeping Tarrasque, and now they need to figure out how to get the thing from the Far Realm here to put on the Tarrasque, so that he can harness the power of this symbiote god thing and the Tarrasque combined, right? So like,
there's definitely elements of that I have already been thinking about, and I'm on board with it being both. They are created in the lab and they are from elsewhere. The ones created in the lab are replicas of the things that are out there, or in some cases like a reincarnation of a piece of a symbiote that fell and died, and they're just kind of like shocking it back to life or what have you. I definitely see that the symbiotes exist upon the entire 10-point alignment spectrum, all 9 things and the unaligned. Some are going to be subservient to their host. All they want to do is survive, and if they can amplify their host's abilities, great. Others are going to be like, all right, I'm going to be obstinate. If you're working on what I want, then I'll offer power. But if you're not doing what I want, then I'm going to recede or force you into a contest of wills. And like, that can be an ongoing struggle and battle. I imagine playing with symbiotes is a game of wills and personalities, and can you get lost in yourself? I mean, we see, this is not spoiling because it's been forever, but the arc of Spider-Man and Venom, when Venom and Spider-Man sync up and Venom begins to pervert who Spider-Man is. Like, that could absolutely happen. And do you then alter who your personality is, and you are just a body who has these things and the symbiote is in control? Or do you win out, or do you constantly struggle throughout the whole arc of the story? And that's an aspect of what I feel would be a lot of fun to play with in a D&D game, but you have to have buy-in, because there's players who don't want to do something like that. They don't want to have a struggle of control, because that's a trigger, and I'm completely on board if that's an issue, and just be like, all right, it won't happen to you, or we won't do it. I've played this game before with spiritual possession and what have you, and some players are like, nope, not for me, red card.
With that, there's some ideas for Under the Dome hooks for your specific D&D and TTRPG campaigns. Feel free to steal them for other settings, or homebrew, or wherever you happen to be playing. Look to the website, and you see articles that are being written by Nerdarchist Ted about Under the Dome, and also I'll be running a game on the channel before too long. And with that, until next time.